Okay, well, my name is Martin Seck. My forge name is Panda Bear Forge, and I'm from Cary, North Carolina.
All right, so how long have you been a blacksmith, and how did you get started?
So I think I'm going on 4 years now blacksmithing. And what happened, the story is I was at a place called the John C. Campbell Folk School in Brasstown, North Carolina, and I was taking a class on making a longbow. So there's like communal meals and stuff when you go to these places.
Okay.
And I ended up sitting at a table with, you try to sit with different people just to get to meet different people and all that. And the assistant instructor at the blacksmith class, and they were doing some advanced, like they were making treasure chests and locks and keys, some cool thing like that. And he asked me, my name tag had my name. It said I was taking the longbow class. So he asked me, how you like the class? And I said, it's great. He said, hey, would you mind bringing me some bowstring down to the forge? And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'll do that. I was interested in seeing the rest of the campus and all that anyway. So I went down there and I brought him a little piece of string, and he said, hey, hang tight. I want to return the favor. And he took some like 3/16 round stock, and he made me 2 arrowheads on a coal forge. And it just blew my mind. Like, just watching the whole process and knowing nothing about it, I was like, man, this is really cool. And my wife and I had gone back there like 5 or 6 more times before the whole COVID stuff happened. And every single time after that, I took blacksmithing.
Right on.
What would you say was your biggest challenge getting started, and how did you overcome that?
Well, probably, the education piece, I think, for me was important, going to the school, but like actually doing it, making a commitment to do it from my home.
Mm-hmm.
Over that was challenging just because, I didn't want to have to buy things twice. I didn't want to start out with like a Harbor Freight anvil, not knocking them too bad, but trying to do my research and find something that was going to work best for me, that I wouldn't have to repurchase something in the future. So I did a lot of research, like probably close to a year before I actually made purchases for like forges and anvils and hammers. And I started friending like the instructors that I took the courses from at the folk school. And then those guys were a huge help to kind of point me in directions with, quality stuff.
Yeah. I can speak from experience. We started out on that Harbor Freight doorstop.
Mm-hmm.
And just within a short time, it developed a nice dip.
That was
right in the
within a
face.
year, and it got so much worse when I'm like, oh my god, knives.
Yeah. It serves its purpose for some things. I'm thinking about boring some of the surface out for like a swage or something.
Yeah. What drove me away from it is I saw a knife maker take like a nice high carbon steel blade that was properly heat treated, and he started like hitting the edge of the anvil with it, and it was just chipping away like pieces.
Yeah.
And I went, wow. I said I can't do that. So I ended up getting a Farrier anvil from a company named JHM. They're cast anvils, because I looked for used ones, but where I live, blacksmithing is really popular in the Carolinas, and you're talking like $5 a pound or more for an older anvil. Yeah. So 200-pound anvil is $1,000.
Yep.
And I'm talking like 150-year-old anvil, not anything new. So that's a big investment.
It is. That's kind of how it is here. It's really, really hard to find an anvil for a decent price. Oh, that was weird.
Okay, guys, I guess y'all get to see our ghosts too. We have 4 of them.
Yeah, that was, speaking of ghosts, that was leaning up against the bookshelf the other way.
Yeah, maybe I transferred my ghost to you guys.
Maybe. We do have a theory. If you talk about him, it does kind of bring up almost pet colored Pepsi.
Dude, Art Bell's the one who had me freaking convinced.
Yeah, Art Bell.
Especially that demon crap.
That was freaky. That was a good show.
Good show. Freaky shit he dealt with.
So this one's kind of a follow-up to the last question Do you have what advice could you offer to new blacksmiths in the community, like the ones who are just getting started?
I'd say that there's a ton of valuable information on YouTube, and look at, I mean, from everybody, like even what we're doing now, how we're having a conversation about this. This could help somebody in the future. But for me, like, I mean, I researched videos. If something I wanted to do, make your first knife or whatever, and I'm like, oh wait, I have that tool, and then make a list of things that maybe can just help get you started. I mean, some basic stuff, because I do a lot of bladesmithing. I blacksmith as well, but I've primarily focused on knives and swords and stuff like that. I mean, I still have to do a hook every once in a while just to do it. And, like behind me, those are hooks I made for that flute on the wall. I don't know if you can see them or not, but, just basic stuff. And
spade hooks.
Yeah, and I got there's a pirate dagger there hanging on some hooks I made, and I made the dagger as well.
Cool.
Yeah, that was my first Quillian. So that was kind of fun. But, yeah, I mean, I dig it, and I just say do your research. Find people that are doing things that you want to do, and just subscribe to their channel, ask them questions. Anybody wants to ask me a question, I'm open at any time. Super happy to help out. But I'd say probably that would be the best advice I'd give.
What'd be your favorite blade to forge out?
I do a lot of American style Bowie stuff. I think I got a couple here, actually. I do, in fact. So this one was kind of fun. The D-guard, kind of Civil War era style Bowie, and just a mild steel guard, hand peened. There's no epoxy in this at all. This is all done the old way. So, like, I had a real fun time making this, and this was the first knife that I completely hammered out from scratch, from a billet. And I like it on my desk because I can just sit it like this, and it just sits there. With the D-guard and the blade, it just kind of sits on there, and I don't like shiny finishes. I like things that look handmade, and like this one for me was just pretty cool. I dig that. I got challenged by a coworker of mine. He's got a Becker BK7, and he wanted to challenge me, so I made this to challenge his knife. So this is my version of the Becker, and we're gonna have a YouTube video where we go head to head. Like, whatever he chops, I'm chopping that. If he's gonna put his knife on the line, I'm gonna put mine on the line. So this is 1095 with some purple heart and some brass pins, hand forged completely. All the finger wells I did on the anvil horn. I did blue this. This is the first blade I ever blued, and I really kind of like how that turned out. And all my blades are Panda stamped. So my wife designed a little stamp for me, and my logo on the website has them. So it's my blade if it's got the Panda stamp on it. So.
Awesome.
But probably those two styles are probably my favorite.
Yeah, I really love it too. That's a very good looking blade.
I appreciate it.
So pretty.
Thank you.
When that video comes out, we'll include a link in the description.
Sweet. Yeah, I got a build video up. I've got 2 out of 3 up right now for that knife that I just showed, and tips and tricks and stuff that I kind of went through. I'm still in the. I have to do some voiceover for the final video of just the build, but I'm ready for the challenge. We're doing an ice block chop. We're doing a rope cut. We're doing like hammering it through logs and stuff like that. But I told, because he was trying to get a little extreme, and I said, I'll get as extreme as you want to get, but your knife also has to do that. So whatever you want mine to do, you also have to do that with your knife that you spent however much money on, And he's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm willing to risk it. And I said, all right, well, let's do it, man. Let's see what happens. And this heat treat, I nailed it, because when I was getting ready to put the handle on, I accidentally dropped that knife tip first into the concrete floor at my forge, and the tip is perfect. So I was pretty stoked. But we shall see, right? It might break on the first swing. I don't know.
You never know until you find out.
Yeah.
Right. What are a couple things you wish you knew starting out?
Probably to like get the steel hot enough to do what you want to do. Don't rush it. Like I know they make things on TV look like they're happening instantaneously, and it's not like that. It's if I put a piece of steel in the forge, depending on the thickness, and you all know this,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to wait for it to get to the right heat, or it's not going to do what I want it to do,
Right.
and also probably too, like, you're not just the way that you move your hammer and the way that you face the head of the hammer. It changes so many things, and understanding that process before you actually just start pounding on steel is probably pretty important. Like those two things, I'd say.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to how you plan out your golf swing.
What are some challenges that you still struggle with as a blacksmith?
Should I say heating up the steel and hitting it with the hammer at the right angle? No, I'm kidding. I'd say, like, seriously, like fullering stuff, widening the steel out is, I find that challenging. And I can punch a hole, but man, drilling a hole just is like my nemesis. I don't know. It just doesn't want to work for me. I use magic tap, things squeak and squeal, and then I soften the tang up, and I end up having to punch a lot of them, which is fine. That and the fullering, if to try to get something like that D-guard Bowie I showed you earlier, like I struggled to get it that width. I managed to do it with some tricks that I learned at the folk school from a couple different smiths, but definitely probably those two things.
If you could add one tool to your shop, like right now, what would it be?
Probably right now, if I could add anything, I'd get, and then, cost wasn't an option. It'd either be a better 2x72 grinder than I have now. I've got a Grizzly, which is fine. But like some of the ones I see, that are multiple thousands of dollars that have the nice attachments that you can look down and see what you're doing and all that, that would probably be my top if money wasn't an option. Or
to snap your fingers.
Yeah, or a power hammer would be probably pretty cool. I got a press recently, and one thing the press taught me is it's a huge learning curve. Like a 16-ton press is going to crush things 16 tons of pressure. Yeah. So you're doing things by hand, you can, if you make a mistake, you can correct it. If you make a mistake with the forged press, that mistake is made. You sometimes have to start over. So I've learned that it's with that piece of equipment, there's a learning curve process, and I'm overcoming the curve now. But it was definitely something I didn't expect. I just expected it to do what I thought it was going to do, and it didn't.
How we've all seen it go on Forged and Fire and whatnot, but that. It looks like there's a lot of finesse work to it.
And there's a foot pedal, trying to get the foot pedal to do and what you want and hold the steel at the right temperature and such.
Yeah,
definitely tricky.
Do you have any general tips, tricks, or shortcuts that you utilize while working in your shop?
Any tips? Yeah, one thing that a tip I can give maybe new bladesmiths, and this does go back to actually putting holes in something. When I first started out, I'd see a lot of people putting holes in tangs, and I thought they were doing it to reduce the weight of the blade. And that was the initial thought process I had. I'm like, oh, that's why they're doing that. And I ended up figuring out later that also what that does is it allows the epoxy to travel through the steel from one side or the other to the scales. So that's a tip I would definitely say, for somebody new starting that. Another one too, that's a big thing for me personally. You have to thermal cycle a blade. You can't just quench it and think that you're going to temper and it's done. You have to thermal cycle it to change the molecular structure of the steel so the blade is harder. And I do at least 3 before I quench it. And I check shadows. I'm like in the shop underneath stuff, making sure that there's no red at all in that blade before I get it back up to critical again. So that's, again, something they don't really show often, or the tempering process, on TV and, even on YouTube. I don't really see a lot of that.
And I can see why they wouldn't really show it all that much too. It's
boring.
Yeah. The more sciencey bit of blacksmithing.
I call it bladesmith hypnosis, because all you're doing is like you're swinging this thing and, am I done yet?
Yeah. Do you have any like non-traditional blacksmithing items that you use in your shop that generally wouldn't be seen as like a tool used in a blacksmith shop?
Probably not really. I mean, with the exception of, I like to use magnets to hold stuff. Yeah. Most people doing bladesmithing are probably going to have a magnet. But I've got one on my anvil. I've got a separate one that I have to hold blades when I have them on the grinder. That was a big help as well for getting flat grinds right. Non-traditional tools, because if I said something like, a bat to hit the steel, a real blacksmith is going to have that anyway. So probably non-traditional. I don't really think I do, honestly.
Okay. Some people use like the ball hitch from their truck for like cupping and.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They'll cut off the bottoms of old acetylene tanks and use it for making skillets and doing their hot forming.
Yeah, I'm kind of old school. All my stuff is, I've got hardy hole stuff that I use, hot cuts and stuff, but it's things that you see traditionally. I like old school. I mean, if I initially, when I started out, the first knife I made with Caleb and David Burris, David's actually the father, which was at a Scottish Heritage Week when we went up to the folk school, and everything was brute to forge. So too shape, almost too sharp, like you would forge with flatteners and stuff to get the edge. I mean, with just a small hit with a file, you had an edge, so wow. No grinding really at all. Everything was file work and hammer work. So it was pretty cool. And, I kind of like it. I like that kind of stuff. Just anything old school where you could almost do it without power. You could do it with, God forbid if something happened to the world, I could still do my craft,
Really be in big time business.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Eventually all that gunpowder will dry up.
Yeah. Don't need to reload a knife either.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Going to the apocalypse with a freaking battle axe.
Yeah.
Forgot to turn off my nose.
Your Panda bear knife at your side. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Okay. With probably anything, there are misconceptions that get spread around the blacksmithing world. What are one or two of those misconceptions you would like to comment on?
Yeah, I'd probably say, just like anything in life, you can't judge a book by its cover. And someone may look at a blacksmith and think maybe lesser of that person because of something that they're choosing to do, when they really don't understand the circumstance behind it. To me, like, it's not just heating up steel and shaping it on an anvil. There's so much more science behind it. There's an instructor I had named Matt Jenkins from Cloverdale Forge. Super cool dude. The guy's like world-known blacksmith, and he was my first instructor. And when I took a class with him, it was all brand new stuff. And I don't even think like I was really ready to learn yet from some of the stuff that he had to share. But when he got on this chalkboard and he just starts writing out all these things and formulas and how steel moves and the different shapes and stuff, it kind of blew my mind how much of that was really behind it, to do quality work. And I was thinking, wow, this is not just what somebody may think of it as, maybe look down on somebody that's doing that, or as a lesser school of art or craft, because I definitely see this as an art form.
I think it's as much of an art as it is a science.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say blacksmithing has brought to your life?
I mean, definitely expanded my friendships. It helps me to reduce stress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I if I'm feeling like I need to, just wind down a little bit, heating up some steel to a couple thousand degrees and letting it kind of tell me what it wants to be. When I'm out there with my hammer and just me, it's definitely helped me with that and brought that to my life. And like I said, I wouldn't be talking to you right now if I weren't involved in this. And it's cool to meet new people and all that type of stuff.
Same here. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing it if we didn't get into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's something I would say it's brought to us is it's expanded friendships and knowledge and just it's brought something definitely better to our lives.
Did you all meet through blacksmithing?
Her and I?
Yeah.
Oh no, we met in high school.
Oh, okay.
He was in high school. I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I've known this dude for like half my freaking life now.
Yep.
That's cool.
And it just so happened that like we both like had similar childhood dreams. Like we wanted the same truck, and that's the truck we got now.
Nice.
And we both wanted to be bladesmiths as kids too, and we're never able to get into it. And then like years later, Forged in Fire comes on and kind of re-sparks that. And
oh yeah, inspired a lot of people for sure.
Yeah, and it like just brought back the idea, and I built a little crappy wood burning forge out of a Weber grill. And
I think the sink one was the impressive one.
Yeah, the sink one was better. When that one, the Weber grill collapsed while I was using it. So I built the sink forge, and that was right down near the ground just in case it collapsed.
Right.
And it worked pretty good. It got metal all spark. It turned wrenches into sparklers. So
yeah,
I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. So you guys do a lot of coal forge work?
No, unfortunately, that's what I initially tried to get into, is trying to find a coal forge, because I could just that'd be the best thing, because I already built something that'll work, and I just slap coal in it as far as I was concerned.
Right.
But it's really hard to find coal in Washington State. There's no business for coal in Washington State, pretty much.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's cheap here. It's like $11 for a 50-pound bag.
Oh man. Yeah.
Ow.
The only coal I was able to find was up in Olympia, which is like 250 miles away, at a Tractor Supply depot.
Yeah.
So, and that was housewarming coal, which I hear isn't really good for blacksmithing.
Yeah. Propane's better for us anyway, as far as, I mean, it keeps things consistent, constant heat, that type of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what we end up using. And I got a big propane tank laying around that I eventually plan on turning into a nice ribbon burner forge.
Nice.
So.
Who are your top 3 favorite Smiths and why?
Well, I mentioned a couple of them already. So Matt Jenkins, because he was my first instructor, and just super knowledgeable guy, like I was saying. Just seen him do some amazing stuff. John Scroggins, another instructor I had. You should see this guy's axes. I mean, it's just incredible, his skill. And he's a younger person. He's probably around your all's age. So the skill he has at his age just blows my mind. David Burris and his son Caleb, just awesome guys. I'm Irish and Scottish by heritage, a little Welsh thrown in there, and to learn some of the craft from them that reflected my heritage directly, which was really cool and important to me. And just super, super down to earth guys. fantastic people. And I got to give them all props, and I'll probably throw an honorable mention into Dave Custer because he also has helped me quite a bit. He's a younger person as well that just has taken blacksmithing to the next level. I've got a lot of, actually all of the hammers I use on a daily basis when I forge, he made them. So I'd say those people and those reasons probably.
Do you have any questions for us or any final thoughts to throw in there?
I don't really have any final thoughts per se, but I mean, yeah, you got me curious too. Like, so who are your favorite smiths, or who do you guys think I should check out, or we all should check out who's watching this video?
Oh well, there's Black Bear Forge. He's one of my top favorites.
Christ-centered Ironworks always good.
Yeah, and Christ-centered Ironworks is always good. They've always been in my top 3 since I started in blacksmithing. Like, they're some of the first channels that I came across and learned from, and still learn from. So those 2 channels are really good. As far as number 3, that would be, I think, Jason Knight.
Oh yeah,
I think everyone would know by now from like Forge and Fire, but really want to see him on there again.
Well, I like him too. Yeah, it's funny too because when my hair was short, I looked a lot like him. You know, kind of thing.
I can totally see that.
Totally see that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'll do one of these.
Yeah.
But he's cool. I like his Forge series too. You know,
Yeah.
I've checked that out. Some really good tips on there. I dig it. He's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, I'd really love to get him on our series eventually. Any interview I see with him, it's always about Forge and Fire, and
yeah.
And other than bringing up how it was like an inspiration to some people and whatnot, you usually try to steer clear of it.
Right.
The Fire topic.
Yeah, and I think he's doing like he's completely moved on to his Forge thing, you know, with his that plus his YouTube channel, and yeah. But I anything he's put out, I really like his, because I'm this way too. I'm not the measure guy. Like if you tell me you want a blade that's 12 inches long, I'll make you a blade. I don't know if it's going to be 12 inches long or not. I'm just going to kind of make it how I want to make it, you know. And when I run out of steel with whatever piece I have, dude, that's your knife, you know. And if you don't want it, I guarantee you someone else is going to buy it because it always happens that way. So, yeah.
You're never.
I like that about him. I'm very similar that way to him.
Yeah. One of my favorite videos of Jason Knight's, I think, is forging in the knife tips.
Yeah. Oh my God, save my butt.
Like that is one of the best videos that anyone interested in blades, forging out blades, could ever watch. Is that you'll avoid a lot of fish mouthing.
Oh yeah, that, and like I said, I feel like you have to forge the tip in to make it. If you're going to sell it as a hand forged knife, you're going to tell somebody it's hand forged. You got to forge the tip. You got to forge the tang.
You got to forge the tip. You got to forge the tang.
Yeah, I mean the rest of it, you know, it's going to be straight anyway. So unless I need to lengthen it or widen it, as long as the tip and the tang are forged, that's a forged knife. I don't care, you know, what anyone says it is, and if they don't think so, they can come to my house and I'll let them try. You know, it's a skill, like, you know.
Yep, exactly. All right, so go ahead and let everyone know you and your forge's name again and where they can find your work. It'll be all linked down below.
Cool. So Martin is my name, Panda Bear Forge, and you can find me on YouTube. Just type in Panda Bear Forge, just a little winking panda with like an anvil head. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story about how that came to be. So, martial artist my whole life, and they called me Kung Fu Panda at work. I don't know why, you know. But anyway, so we're like, you know what, we should go with Panda Bear Forge. And that's just kind of how the name came about, and been rocking and rolling ever since with it. So,
that's actually something I usually. That is a question I left out because I usually ask the story behind the name.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I put it in there for you.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
You know, and this is a brand new list we've never read off of before, so
I broke in the list for you.
Yep. So no, you remember to subconsciously remembered a question that I usually have and didn't have this time. So awesome.
Nice.
Everyone will be able to find those links in the description and check out your channel and give you a follow on Instagram.
Cool. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on very much, and yeah, thank you, and you have a good one.
You too. Thanks.